Greetings! What is up, everyone? Welcome to the channel. The sun is magnificently shining, and the magpie is hopefully magnificently casting. Coming to you guys right now with a live 1 vs 1 battle fresh from the top of the Company of Heroes 2 ladder, featuring spawning in the south on Longer Sky. It's going to be the Wehrmacht pieces of Deutsche Qualität, and spawning in the north, playing as the Soviet pieces. It'll be First Creative Name. So yeah, took a punt here. There were no players whose names I recognised out there doing their stuff on the ladder, so this was the top rated one. I had a couple of observers, just thought I'd hop in. Langrskaya usually makes for a fairly even-ish game. I mean, it is usually got longer, more grindy games on this map, so I thought we might get to see some good old Wehrmacht vs Soviet action here. So let's watch and let the battle unfold before us. And as we let these players move out and get their initial moves and tactics, strategies, and placements made on the map, I'm going to talk just a little bit about some other stuff that's going on. So yesterday, I busted out the drill and I started making holes and rerouting cables and basically making the final preparations for moving or initializing my streaming setup in the next room, which I've been working on for, well, actually months now, but like not doing that much, just working on it when I can. So that's finally coming together now. It's really exciting. The router's in a much better place, which means that I actually have much better internet now, just like throughout. So streaming on Switch and things like that should hopefully be easier. The new audio interface still hasn't showed up. That was being shipped to me from like Finland, I think. So it's in the UK. It could be being delivered today. I was hoping it was going to be delivered yesterday, but you know, whatever. When that arrives, then I think we'll be good to go. Oh no, that's right. There's a couple more bits coming actually. I've got a piece of green fabric coming, just some really cheap green cloth, which I'm hopefully going to use as a bit of a chroma key green background. And I've been doing some research into putting together like a much more professional looking stream with some of the bells and whistles that people expect from streams, you know, like follow and subscriber notifications and all that kind of stuff. I'm not 100% sold on that kind of thing. I'm still not really convinced that that kind of style is for me, but it's still nice to know how to use these tools and have sort of interactive overlays and stuff like that when you're streaming. So I've been looking at that. I've also been reading up on and doing some research and beginning to choose some video editing software that will suit my needs. So I've downloaded a few trial versions and I'm running through them to see which ones I want to use. Basically, the key criteria for me is, I mean, obviously I'm not doing much video editing. It's not like I'm making films or I'm making particularly high-level content or anything like that. But it is important that I can cut together and re-stitch sections of footage without impacting the video quality in terms of frame rate and you know, bit rate and quality and things. And to be honest, even the software that says it doesn't impact the frame rate, it is noticeable if I watch the raw footage that I capture with OBS, and then I watch the sort of stitched together version that I create with the video editing software. It is noticeably choppier. It is not as smooth on most of these softwares that I'm using. So I'm trying, off the top of my head, I'm trying Filmora 9. I'm trying Sony Vegas's lowest offering. Basically, I want to spend as little money as possible. I would love to go for Adobe Premiere Pro and all of that, and a lot of my friends use that. But it is a subscription-based piece of software, which is probably going to, you know, cost me in excess of £100 a year. I can't really justify that, unfortunately. I can really only justify sort of about the price that I would spend on a video game as a one-time payment if I end up paying for video editing software. You know, which I'm still not 100% that I want to do. If I can find a free solution, that'll be amazing. But, you know, obviously people making this software do deserve some compensation for their efforts, and nobody really is selling good video editing software for free. So, yeah, I've come to terms with the fact that realistically I may well have to pay something for my video editing software. So yeah, there's some updates there on putting together my streaming setup in the other room. That's going to be really exciting. I finally I have this lovely TV in the other room, and it is quite lovely. It's like reasonably large. It has a very fast response time. It has superb quality in terms of like colors and all that stuff. It's a lovely screen, but I have had troubles when I tried as a test to plug my PC into it. I just had troubles. For some reason, the TV would not detect it as a PC, and so it would set the resolution to something crazy and set the you know, it would try and run it in 30 frames and stuff like that. And it's like, what are you doing? So anyway, tried it again the other day, managed to get it to recognize it as a PC, running in native resolution at 60 frames. So that's all fantastic. Can't wait to see Company of Heroes 2 running on that. It's such a big screen, it might even look like watching a tabletop war game, you know what I mean? And, you know, playing Call of Duty and stuff on that screen is going to be so cool. And, you know, that's the screen that I use when I play Smash Brothers and stuff, so to be able to stream Smash on that setup is going to be really cool. Someone is revving a car engine really loudly right outside my window, but the weather is so warm at the moment I don't want to shut that window, so I hope that that's not carrying too badly on the mic. So yeah, those are some of the updates to do with putting together the Magpie streaming solution, and we're moving towards getting that done, so that's pretty exciting for me. So, right, let's turn our attention to this game. It has been, I think it was a kind of a techless opening, and then Support Weapon Camp and I are finishing just recently. We've got 4 squads of conscripts who are essentially getting beaten up by an MG42 Grenadiers and now Panzer Grenadiers entering the field. I mean, conscript-based openings are great, but you can never have too high of hopes, and you can never really rely on them for more than 5 or 6 minutes, because you basically get beaten by any level of sophistication. As soon as you are trading in a fight where your opponent has anything more than dudes with rifles shooting you, like, those conscripts are going to start suffering, and, you know, the MG42 very much falls into the category of stuff that is better than just dudes with rifles shooting at you, because, you know, it suppresses and negates the efficiency of your units rather quickly. So, yeah, it looks like the Wehrmacht player here going to be securing some swathes of the map. Some annoying conscripts here and there persisting, but they've been driven out here in the west. Conscripts being driven back in mid, and is very much the case that we're going to probably be relying on a T-70 here to help the Soviet player to buoy their success in this game as they go forward. Because, yeah, you know, 4 squads of conscripts just ain't really going to cut the mustard as this game goes on. Let's take a look at the commanders here that the 2 players are rolling with. Deutsche Qualität is going to be rolling with Spearhead, Mechanized Assault Doctrine, and German Infantry Doctrine. This is a trio which we're getting kind of used to seeing, if I'm honest. German Infantry Doctrine seems to have really found a place in the meta. And whilst I was initially skeptical and hadn't really seen it get very much value in the first few games that I cast, Skeletron has really convinced me as to the viability and utility of this commander. The squad upgrade does a lot more than I thought. Veteran squad leaders, you can actually put them on Pioneers to make them repair faster. I mean, so somebody very handy whose name evades me right now, and I'm very sorry, but somebody amazingly did tell me the lowdown on what the squad leader upgrade actually does for the different squads. And obviously for the Grenadiers, it gives you the G43 squad leader, which ups DPS, ups durability, and is a very useful upgrade. For the Pioneers, it adds a 5th man, which makes their repair speed, you know, quicker. But it is just a 5th Pioneer, no extra weapon or anything. So that's pretty exciting. And for Panzer Grenadiers, I believe, do they get the 5th man as well? I think. I don't think. Do Panzer Grenadiers get a 5th man? I don't think so, right? No. So Panzer Grenadiers can't take that squad upgrade, but it does give them. I can't remember. Anyway. So yeah, and the other 2 I mean, Spearhead is just the most vanilla, in my opinion, Wehrmacht commander. It just makes all Wehrmacht stuff better. Panzertac is like super useful, especially with the mortar half track. It makes your Panzer IVs actually just kind of a different beast. Like, Panzer IVs with smoke are just way different to Panzer IVs without smoke. They're so much more survivable. You just have that get out of jail free card. So yeah, and on top of Blitz as well, which is already kind of a get out of jail free card. So Blitz plus smoke, powerful. So yeah, Panzertac is like super useful, and it affects all armored vehicles as well. So even 222s, Oswins, you know, Stugs, everything gets better. The Panther with smoke is like an actual nightmare. Then you get the Tiger in the late game, and you get all sorts of other useful stuff. Frag Bomb. It's always nice to have a good munitions dump on your commander, just to like dump munitions for explosive force, because oftentimes you'll find yourself in the middle late game with a problem and some munitions in the bank, and you can use those munitions in the bank to stall or solve that problem. Oh, it is going to be a Spearhead. Oh, there we go. It's a good thing I've been talking about this one so much. And then, you know, Mechanized Assault Doctrine, one of the more transformational doctrines, gives you access to the fantastic Stug E. A lot of players seem to be valuing the Assault Grenadiers. And so, yeah, it's just a spicy commander. I mean, Mechanized Assault Doctrine has always been quite a spicy commander, to be honest. Personally, I always like to have access to an Ostrobin Doctrine, be it Defensive Doctrine or just the Ostrobin Doctrine. I think those are, and these days I think I favour the Defensive Doctrine because it has the Stug E. Is that correct? I think that's the one that has the Stug E. Or do they both have it now? I can't remember. I'm getting it all mixed up in my head. But anyway, what I'm saying is, I think Ostrobin is super cool, very transformational, very fun to have access to for Wehrmacht forces. T-70's on the field now. Pat Gun is also present on the Wehrmacht side of things. So this game is proceeding in a fairly standard direction. Neither player drawing you know, blood in any meaningful sense. No real squad wipes or anything like that have come down. Creative name still to pick their commander from. Guard Motor Coordination Tactics. Oh, for Mother Russia guy who's like counterattack tactics? Yeah. And guy in the middle. Guard Rifle Combined Arms Tactics. This that Faust is going to be good. Yeah, there we go. Wow, I was just waiting to see if that Faust was going to connect. It does. The T-70 goes down super early here, so that is fair to say that is the first real drawing of blood here. Deutsche Qualität getting off to a quality start in this game for sure. negating the T-70 rapidly, and that is quite the blow for Soviet forces. Anytime your T-70 dies within a minute, obviously that's going to be a pretty poor investment and a game which is going to start being tough for you. So who's this guy in the middle again? Guard Rifle Combined Arms Tactics. Oh yeah, we are seeing this guy increasingly, but I'm still unconvinced. The KV-1 is a lot better than it used to be. It's just substantially more sprightly. Wow, Soviet forces grabbing a lot of land in west here. Look out for these mines. Oh, they got cancelled. Did they? No, they are there. So yeah, it's going to be another T-70. Yikes. Whoa, we've got a demo charge on this building. Cool. But yeah, T-70. I don't know about a second T-70. That is delaying your tech like quite a lot now. Well, we'll see how this sort of decision pays off here for Creative Name, but I must say I'm a little skeptical. Deutsche Qualitat, for all the good fights we've been seeing taking out on the field, has a small scoreline advantage, but not really been able to control the fuel points to the extent that a Wehrmacht player would like to be able to do. So falling behind considerably on the resources, and to a certain extent that is going to help ameliorate the impact of taking this second T-70. So perhaps Creative Name will be okay. We'll see. If this T-70 also just dies pronto, then that's a problem. That's a real problem. So, okay. Oh. Grenadiers see and destroy the demo charge there. That's just as well. Where is that pack gun firing from? Oh, it's down here. Wow, I just couldn't understand how it was finding that T-70 for a second there. Okay, but it gets substantially flustered here. 9 Soviet rifles advancing onto this pack gun. It should be able to make it back to the base defenses. Wow, actually no, with the T-70 coming in to add some DPS. So this is the range of the base defense. Okay, so now that the pack gun is this far back, it's not going to be... Actually, the T-70 could finish it off. Oh, really? I think you have to come in there and try and just destroy this. Wow. I guess he's worried about another pack gun? I mean, that was like 1 or 2 more T-70 shots away from being decrewed, and then you can just destroy the hardware. And like the base MGs don't really worry a T-70 that much. They will eventually kill a T-70, but it takes ages. So I feel like there was a real opportunity there to break the pack gun, and if you break the pack gun, well, this game's wide open then. That T-70 can start doing nasty things. And I appreciate that there were grenadiers there to try and screen the pack gun, but I think you could probably have had enough time. You can kite back with the T-70 and kill those grenadiers. If they recrew the pack gun, well, that's kind of free kills, because then they take increased received accuracy and the T-70 can burst them down. And if they continue to try and push, well, then they're pushing into a T-70 that's kiting with infantry support, so I don't think that that goes well. Conscript Squad was lost somewhere over this last phase of play. Didn't catch that one on camera, sorry. But... yeah, Creative Name kind of going from bad to worse here, just hemorrhaging units. A Maxim gun gets cancelled when it is like 2/3 done in order to get a Zis gun. Now, let's see. Battle Phase 2 is complete, no Support Armor Corps. I don't know if this announces an intention to skip to Battle Phase 3 or whether Support Armor Corps just hasn't come down yet. Definitely the money is there for Support Armor Corps though, if that's going to be the choice. So this Zis gun... Well, it's only early if Support Armor Corps doesn't start appearing in a second. In fact, to be honest, it is still a bit early. But that's the nature of the game. When you don't have scouting of your opponent's base, if you get caught without an anti-tank weapon, you know, a hard anti-tank answer, and your opponent comes at you with medium armor, then that's tough. So, going for the safety Zis gun, and I do respect that. You've got to do that if you are not certain that you're that you could die. Wait, you've got to get the safety Zis gun if you are not certain about your opponent's teching. Because, yeah, otherwise you just sort of lose the game in a very rapid way. Okie dokie. So, scoreline differential has substantially opened up now. Deutsche Qualitat leading by 120 odd tickets at least. So that's quite scary. 127 odd. So... And wiping a couple of squads off of the Soviet composition, which is kind of inferior. It's not that bad, actually. It's just a little small right now. I wouldn't hate even just rebuilding those conscripts, but I think a Maxim gun would be better, actually. I think the next manpower ought to go on a Maxim gun. Or a mortar tube, but I think that's going to be quite hard to defend. Maxim, then mortar, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Langreskaya, oof, mines. Langreskaya is quite a good map for mortar tubes because it's so small. You can just sit the mortar tube like here, and it will just be firing all the time. And of course, the smoke will help you counter the pack gun and the MG42 which is nice as well. So yeah, Panzer IV is going to be the choice here. Support Armor Corps clearly has completed. And that makes sense. So this Zis gun is going to have a target here in a second, so that's almost lucky here for creative name. Otherwise that Zis gun would be a little bit of a waste. How much is the Zis gun barrage these days? 35, and it has just been used. I thought I saw some things exploding in mid. 35, yeah. T-70 coming in for quite the dive here. Panzer Grenadiers in a bad way. We'll get Fausted though. Grenadiers coming around for the rear Faust here. And that should set up the kill here. I mean, there's a pack gun stalking and a Panzer IV about to appear. So this T-70 ought to be dead, I think. Not much, no real way to escape with that one. The Panzer IV spawns on the right-hand side of the base as well. So that should be enough to pick off this T-70, I would have thought. Where's the Zis gun? Not really in a position to cover, so yeah. With the second T-70 going down, I mean, Mechanized Armor Campanier has finished though, right? Yeah. So, to be honest, for having gone for 2 T-70s, the Soviet tech is not that delayed. So I guess that's testament to the amount of fuel point control that the Soviet forces were able to leverage in the early stages of the game. Okay. Yeah. Creative Name's going to choose this moment to leave the game, unable to substantially control any of the fuel on the map at this point. Panzer IV coming through, and that's just been a rough game. If you're playing for $2,000 or whatever, you probably wouldn't leave this game, but quite the underdog. That's going to be a rough place to play back from, and Creative Name with no interest in doing so. And that is their right. That is their decision. They are allowed to do that. So we're going to head on to the live game lobby here and see if we can find another game to cast. Let's have a looky. Greatest lower bound against Creative Name once again on Crossroads. Chicken Hands, J for Jet, Red Force versus Kanji. Oh, there's Luvus. We saw a fun game from them the other day, though that one is starting in 7 minutes. Yeah, and the thing is, whilst I do have this video editing software, all of the trial versions have like awful downsides, like watermarks and stuff that are just obliterate like the huge watermarks like right in the middle of the screen. So I am still for now going to have to ask if we do settle for a game that has a delay, and I feel like we're going to go for this one here. Actually, there is a Feymanville approach game that we could just take. Let's watch this one. Yeah, I was going to say, because all of the trial versions have like huge watermarks or like other massive downsides, because obviously they want you to buy the product. They're not really an active solution right now until I've tested them all and actually decide which one to invest in. So, yeah. My hyper-professional level of casting and asking people to skip forward, it's going to continue just for now. Okay, so spawning in the north here on Feymanville approach, playing as the Overcommand West pieces, it's going to be Panzer Faust. And spawning in the south here, playing as the Soviet forces, Hans Chicken. So we've got ISU 152 Commander, my favourite one here. We've got Terror Tactics. Whew. I haven't seen this guy for a long time. So this is the Fear Propaganda Artillery guy, which for quite a while was kind of broken. It's probably substantially fixed now. It makes soldiers question the morality of their actions. Interesting description. And Soviet Airborne, just still one of my favourite commanders, but you know has taken that nerf to the cost of the weapons crate drop. That now 60 up from 45. That is a 33% increase, quite substantial, but definitely still value. Conscripts with SVDs are worth 60 munitions. They were right to make that change. Panzerfaust here. Running with Elite Armoured Doctrine, Overwatch Doctrine, and Luftwaffe Ground Forces Doctrine. Yeah, a fine trio. I'm going to go ahead and say that despite being, historically, in the past, one of my favourite OKW commanders, I don't like Overwatch Doctrine at the moment. I just don't really like it. Which is a difficult criticism to level, really, because Jaeger Light Infantry are objectively great. I mean, well, not great, but they're definitely good. They're super usable. They do a lot of stuff. They're fun. I like them. They're good. Goliaths are hilarious, so I can't really count that as a bad, you know, that's not a, it's really cool. I love the Goliath. And also in that thing you also get the warning flares and the, you know, your Schwerwehrmacht Schleppers have like, SWS receivers, which, to be honest, I'm a little hazy on how they work now. For the Fatherland is like totally a fine ability. It doesn't cost too much, and it does give your dudes a pretty substantial buff. The Lef 18 is an interesting option, which OKW don't really have too much access to, so that's kind of cool. And Sector Assault is, you know, it's a fine munitions dump. So it is kind of hard for me to say that this is not a great commander. It's probably more a statement about how many other great commanders that OKW have, rather than a sort of slander of Overwatch, but I just of Overwatch Doctrine. But I just feel like when you have access to Breakthrough Doctrine, you know, or Scavenge Doctrine, which I just feel like they just do more things. They're just a little bit better. I just think it's hard to justify taking this guy on your roster when OKW have so many great commanders. So anyway, decent fight being taken here, close to the doorstep of the OKW base. Conscripts trading out for decent value, breaking a lot of OKW stuff, actually. That was the Storm Pioneers and 2 sets of Volks Grenadiers getting broken by kind of just conscripts and engineers, so that's pretty cool for the Soviet player. A Schwervermacht Schlepper was heading out onto the map there. That was interesting. Don't know if that was just a misclick or a bad rally, or if Panzerfaust actually really did have plans on setting up a truck out here using this infantry to screen it whilst it got deployed, and was just unlucky that that plan got foiled by the positioning and the fight taken there by the Soviet forces. Yeah, difficult to say. Sorry, I'm just looking at my audio levels. Okay, cool. Sorry, I'm just there is some background noise. I'm just checking to see if it's catching. Okay, he has crept the truck back out, so I am so it does look like he does actually kind of want to get this truck deployed out a little somewhere. That is rare. We don't see that from OKW more or less ever now, unless I'm playing them, because I love a good forward battle grip at HQ. Yeah, baby, research the forward fallback point and get that going, but we'll see. The fuel's just now trickling in, so how much is Battle Grip at HQ these days? 25, yeah. Okay, so when he has 25 fuel, we'll see what the intentions are for this. This is risk, though. I mean, anytime you drive a truck out onto the map, it's so fragile, and whilst it's deploying, it continues to be intensely fragile. And if you lose it, it's like just terrible. It's like almost always game-changing, if not game-ending. So, hey, Soviet Airborne. Yeah, love this guy. Cool. So it's going to be a Soviet Airborne strat here from Hans Chicken. The SVD rifle is beginning to come on down in the crates here. So conscripts will be punching above their weight as this game begins to move forwards, and I'm glad to see it. And then shortly we'll have access to the Dansak. It's going to be a support weapon Campanier, even so. Oftentimes you'll see players skip this when they have access to a Dansak elsewhere in the tree. But this still does make sense. You will need Zis guns more often than not. And, you know, the mortar tube is also a totally usable unit. Okay, great. So it's going to be a battle grip at HQ in, I'm going to call this a questionable spot. In my experience, which is more substantial than you might imagine, of putting battle grip at HQs out on the map and using them for value in ways, you know, to just not have them in your base. Oh, is this going to get scouted here? This is a lot of Soviets. We need to defend here. Let's just turn on Fog of War briefly. Okay, so this has not yet been scouted by the Soviet player, and that's just as well. There is probably enough Germans here that... Okay, it did just get scouted somehow. But that's fine, because it's now deployed. So, okay, so Soviet player knows now. Battle grip at HQ be out on the map. This is a really weird place to put it, though. Okay, and here's why. From my experience putting battle grippers out on the map, which I do a lot. When you put your battle grip at HQ on the map, the further away it is from the central line joining your HQ to your opponents, kind of the more awkward it is, because now when you fall back squads, they're actually falling back further away from this area of the map. So if you have an asymmetrical sort of like lopsided placement on your battle grip at HQ, it can be really awkward. And this is me assuming he is going to go for forward fallback point, because if you're not going for forward fallback point, having your medics not be in the base is really awkward. Like, it's difficult. And like our map control is really limited by the fact that we're having to hold this area. Like, look at the map. So there's a lot of sacrifices being made by the Axis player here, and I'm not actually super convinced. Dansak on the field. I'm not actually super convinced that it's worthwhile yet. Look how much damage that thing does, even at longer range. Jesus. So I am a little skeptical about this. So far, medics come down first as well, which is kind of surprising. That makes me think that it's not going to be for the forward fallback point. In which case, why are we putting this out on the map? Because here it can get sieged down by Zis guns. The medics aren't in the base. I don't know. I mean, I get that you can reinforce out of it and heal your guys, but this seems like quite the precarious operation. I'm a bit confused. I feel like we've sacrificed a lot of map control in order to buy ourselves a vulnerability, and that doesn't seem like a good deal. So maybe I'm missing something here. I don't know. Let's just see how the game develops. So, oh, Dansak gets a bit flustered here as Storm Pioneers and Volks Grenadiers get up on top of them. There is a demo charge here as well. That's pretty relevant. Got to look out for that. STG starting to pop up on these Volks is going to enable them to punch through for some pretty good mobile damage here. Oh, he gets the squad wipe. Wow, that's turbo relevant. Guards, paratroop geezers, guards airborne, that's their name, coming out of this structure at a poignant moment to lay down some rifle fire into these Germans. PPSHs was the upgrade being taken on them, and that's going to sort of dovetail nicely with the SVDs on the conscripts. Demo charge here goes off. I don't think that was for very much effect. Flak half-track here going to be coming out, and I mean, except for the positioning on this battle group at HQ, this is kind of what we're used to seeing from OKW these days. I mean, battle group at HQ into flak half-track. Okay, I've just seen one potential upside of this placement, okay. So, you may have heard me say before, often sort of the bare minimum of sort of control that you need to achieve on the map. What is up with this guy? He's just raving. Soviet time. Okay, that's just weird. I don't know what's going on there. He is loving his life. Is he trying to pull out? He's trying to pull out. Oh, that was really funny. Okay. A little bit of improv Soviet comedy there. But yeah, I often say that the bare minimum that you need to hold on the map in order to sort of give yourself a chance in the sort of later mid-game and the later stages of the game is that you need to control one fuel point and one victory point. And I will say that although you are kind of giving the Soviet player the rest of the map, by having your battle group at HQ here, you are really anchored into this fuel point and this victory point. It's going to be quite difficult for the Soviet player to take those away from you whilst you have this hard point. So... But even so, I don't really like the dynamics of that trade, because you're still saying, you're settling for the bare minimum. You are saying, okay, I have the bare minimum, there's one victory point, there's one fuel point, but you're giving your opponent the rest of the map, double Muni, the other fuel point, and all the other points. So I still feel like you're coming off pretty bad there. You know, still unconvinced by the positioning on this battle group at HQ, but I'm trying not to be too judgmental. I'm waiting to see what value Panzerfaust will be getting out of this placement. Light gun going to be getting mixed in next on the roster, which we're kind of used to seeing. Isn't it nice that OKW units like have places in the game and do stuff now? Like the light gun's just good and the flak half track is just fine, and it's like, yay, it's also nice. So anyway, additional SVD crates are coming in now. Hans Chicken has quite a lot of munitions to be burning there. Could even go for another Dansak, and I wouldn't hate that. Let's see. It's going to be a Rakettenwerfer coming out next, and that makes sense because you have to be expecting T-70 around about now. We know that the Tankovy Battalion Command isn't there, so yeah, additional SVDs coming in as well, more. So yeah, I imagine these engineers are going to throw down a Tankovy and then hop skip straight into Mechanized Reg, and then going to start rolling with some sort of medium armor choice, perhaps. Oh, conscript's getting cut down here. This is a bit rough. So they're going to GTFO. Mortar gets mixed in. I like this a lot because you know your opponent has the forward hardpoint, and the natural way to pressure these kinds of positions is, ta-da, yep, we just start raining indirect fire. That kind of means that your opponent has to keep repairing with Storm Pioneers, and lucky mortars falling on Storm Pioneers are always, that's a lot of value to be getting. And it also kind of means that the Storm Pioneers are sort of tethered to this building. So that kind of removes them, means that they can't spend as much time fighting. Flak half-track in a nice position here, going to be taking some shots into Soviets, but this is a very undynamic style that Panzerfaust is utilising here, you know? Like, he's not moving very much. All of the units are very clustered in one location, which is usually bad for a player in Company of Heroes. When your units are, like, concentrated, it usually means that your options are slim and your opponent has map control, and those are bad things. So we'll have to keep an eye out here. The light gun's going to be doing its best. A smoke barrage to counter this Dansack would be nice. But it looks like the flak half-track will also counter that unit. Oh, wow, actually, a lovely lag hit, killing the crew operator at the crucial moment. Not going to be enough to get the kill. Somebody else mans the gun and does not get cut down by the flak half-track, but there's definitely a timeline where the crewman gets killed by the lag gun and then the flak half-track rinses the squad. Definitely a timeline where that happens. So a risky moment there, luckily avoided for Hans Chicken. Going to get out of there with the Soviet heavy machine gun there. I believe the Dansack was just a Soviet 50 cal, right? This thing was 50 calibers. Yeah, look at it. It's huge. So here comes the next Feathermax Schlepper. This is such a weird strat, because he hasn't even like been able to maintain... I mean, he's just recaptured this victory point, so he has actually been under substantial bleed. And now, I mean, we're 12 and a half, 13 minutes into the game. 268 under 500? Yikes. I mean, that's tough. And the Soviet player has just had pretty good resource income this whole time. And as your opponent like accumulates indirect fire resources, I mean, I feel like Hans Chicken should almost consider going for a Katusha first, just to counter this hard point. Because like life gets really hard for your on-the-map deploying OKW opponent once you have a Katusha. What has he just lost? He's just lost some units, I think. What did he lose? I can't remember. Oh, he lost the guards. Oh, that's a bitter loss. I think the building came down on them. Didn't quite catch that on camera. Sorry about that. But yeah. Wow, look, see Soviet forces. Every time he just tickles this point with forces. There we go. Now we're back on the heavy bleed. So also, I think if you're going to dig in really hard here, I think you need to build maybe a munitions or a fuel point on this pocket position here or this pocket position here. Wait, can OKW still build these things? Oops. Oh, sorry, my bad. Okay, so T-34 is going to be the first choice. Okay, not terrible. I definitely would have preferred a Katusha, though, just based on what your opponent is doing. But, I mean, with the loss of so many infantry squads this game so far, I guess that Hans Chicken feels like they need the sort of frontline presence that a medium tank provides. And we have enough fuel in the bank where we can actually pretty much buy a Katusha straight away when this tank comes out, like more or less. So perhaps going for the safety T-34 first, that's not such a bad idea. At last, Panzerfaust is going to send some units out on this flank, and that's just immediately finding value, denying the munitions point from your opponent, even going to grab that. So that's nice to see. Panzerfaust definitely needs more breadth to this approach. This is a very concentrated approach, and this is a very concentrated position, I should say, and I don't think that's a good idea. Hans Chicken, yeah, I mean, I think Katusha looks really good, because that punishes all of this so hard. This is a lot of value to have in a very small area. Wow, actually, he's even going to get a victory point over here, so that's pretty huge for Panzerfaust. So Signs of Life, I mean, I say Signs of Life. Panzerfaust is, weirdly enough, kind of winning the battle of attrition, winning the actual battles. T-34 is going to be used as a fast mover to come and police this Axis infantry, and that does make sense. But if you look at the top left, look at the top right, I mean, the Axis army is actually bigger and has been kind of getting the upper hand of these fights. So it's weird that Panzerfaust is not controlling more of the map, because there's just so many units standing around here. I mean, this is quite the defensive style. And this perhaps could be an indicator of the fact that this is a lower level game. I mean, neither of these two players super well known, at least to me. I could be wrong, they might be top tier players, but they don't ring any bells to me. And usually when you start casting weirder games, you start seeing weirder strats, or lower skill games I should say, you start seeing less meta strats come out. That could be just what we're seeing here. I mean, this flak half-track has spent the whole game almost just being a stationary emplacement here, and that's not efficient, really. You want to be at least moving and poking and trying to find value elsewhere with it, in ways that are safe. I'm not saying run it around in fog of war like a madman, but just, you know, just move it to support your infantry, just find additional value. You know, when your units are standing around being idle, that's rarely good, that's rarely productive, that's rarely efficient. So it will be a Katusha coming out next, and I think that is smart. A Katusha barrage is going to shatter this position, and then continue to do so. And trust me, as an OKW player who likes building their shit out on the map, I can tell you, once your opponent gets that Katusha going, it can be very difficult to hold on. You either need to deal with the Katusha or you kind of lose all your stuff that's on the map, and that's bad. That's my top tier caster analysis. Losing your stuff that's out on the map, that's bad. These conscripts getting very low. Ugh, God, he loses the squad. I mean, that was just a late fallback. Oh my God, you can't be hemorrhaging squads like that. Ugh, T-34 just getting a triple kill there with a lovely, well-placed HE shell. Comes forward now. I don't know if he knew about the Schwerpanzer HQ, but he does now. So the Katusha is here. So that thing can start taking some barrages here. If Hans Chicken had just conserved their units a bit better, they'd be in such a wonderful spot right now. You can just fire from here, bro. You don't need it to be that accurate. Fire the Katusha. Keep it efficient. I think we should just be firing this, to be honest. But finally, it looks like Panzerfaust wants to move out and try and take somewhere else on the map. This T-34 alone will not be able to challenge because the Kettenwerfer is here. Alright, he's actually going to fire the Katusha over here. Actually, this is okay. He gets a bit unlucky with the initial rocket spread, which is the most important one. Finding some hits on the flak half-track is massive! That's so much veterancy for Katusha to get on its opening barrage. Wow! Wow! That was a spectacular opening barrage, but he loses the Katusha! I don't... What? Oh, the Kettenwerfer, the second Kettenwerfer, creeps around and gets the... Oh God, you can go ahead and leave this game now, Hans Chicken. I don't think... He's just lost too many units as this game has gone on. And all of them through fairly careless means. I mean, the Katusha didn't need to be that far forward taking those barrages, if you ask me. There was value to be found without that degree of accuracy required. And, you know, we've lost 2 squads of conscripts now, basically just because of... You know, unforced errors. So we are up to double Danzak. We still have the mortar. The T-34 is alive, and we're building a Zis gun, which is going to help against whatever fuel unit the OKW player opts to buy, which will be happening soon.
Ready for deployment. 105mm artillery barrages are available at your convenience. Command level capabilities ready for deployment.
Look at all this value. How did the Katusha not win this game? That was so bad. No, I mean, not win the game, but how did the Katusha not punish this? That's what the Katusha was for. Oh well. So it looks like the Soviet player going to creep forwards here. This could be an opportunity for a Zis gun barrage, and indeed one will be taken. Big concentration of Axis units here. That's going to necessitate them all to sort of reposition. Getting some good damage over here. And it will be nice to vet up that Zis gun in advance of the Axis armor coming out. Any veterancy you can get onto this Zis gun will be useful. Flak half-track going to use smoke and gets up into a fairly forward position here. This is quite risky. The T-34 is going to try and maneuver to take advantage. Kettenwerfer's, yeah, our position now to counter. Faust is actually, yeah, this is probably a dead T-34. Maybe. Seems pretty dead. Okay, so he gets the flak half-track for his trouble. The Soviet position here gets cleared. And this mortar is in a weird spot. Surely you want it like here. Or even like here. You just want it constantly firing into the Axis hardpoint, really. So the T-34 does somehow limp away, and the second Katusha is going to be bought, and I reluctantly have to think that this is probably the right choice, as long as you don't die for lack of AT tools. I mean, because you have the Zis gun, the Katusha is an option. Otherwise, you would need an Su-85, because your opponent's going to be coming at you with some kind of horrendous Axis fuel choice. You know this because you haven't seen... I mean, there's been a flak half-track, and beyond that, like, what is your opponent doing with their fuel? Got to be something nasty soon. But I do think you can get away with this Katusha. And I just, please, dear God, start hitting this position. There are so many units standing around idle here. as well. These Volksgrenadiers not really getting value. And to be honest, actually, although the situation was terrible, actually, sorry, I forgot. I just forgot how far ahead the Soviet player was in the scoreline. When I said, oh my god, you can go ahead and leave the game now, I just totally forgot he was leading in the scoreline. Of course you don't want to leave the game when you're this far ahead. This represents so much time to work with. So, okay, let's not overcommit the Katusha this time, bro. Just it's okay to take a scattered barrage. Just I would click it about here, and then just it'll do stuff. Nasty stuff. We don't always have to take these accurate close-range barrages. When your opponent has this much value dispersed in an area this size, it's okay to be inaccurate. Here we go. Bit too far forward for my money, but it's okay. Gets the light gun. Nice to wipe the veterancy off of that one. Gets a Panzerwerfer as well. So that's sorry, not a Panzerwerfer. A thingamy-bob. Immediately loses the Katusha to a sector assault. So that's a bit unlucky. But, I mean, that sector assault does seem like a nice counter to Katusha's, doesn't it? 250 munitions is quite a lot, so in that regard, the Katusha is still kind of finding value, because you wiped off 2 squads. Yeah, your opponent can recrew these, but you wiped the veterancy, that's annoying. And you wiped off 250 munitions from your opponent's balance, so that's not too bad either. And the door is still closing, because you're at 494 over 107, so, I mean... Okay, it's going to be a Panzer IV. This is like the latest Panzer IV, though. You had so much fuel. This could have been a Panther if you wanted it. Panzer IV will suffice, though. It's just the weirdest teching. This is the weirdest game, to be honest. Yeah, the weirdest teching from the Axis player here. And yeah, Soviet Boot's going to get in touch with it. If this is your hard point, you can't be letting the Soviet player control this VP. This blows my mind. Just put an MG over here, man. Like, I don't know. Do something. How is he leaving this avenue open for the Soviets to move along? Like, surely controlling this road is, like, absolutely crucial to maintaining this hard point. Or at least maintaining the value of having this hard point. Like, if you're going to occupy this space, what's the point if you're not actually controlling this VP? So T-34 kind of overextending, perhaps. Panzer IV comes out at a nice moment to take care of that. T-34 is going to skim backwards here. And it will be a third Katusha, and I do agree with this choice. That is fine. Now that you know your opponent's fuel spending is the Panzer IV, you know you can cope with it with the Zis gun and the T-34. So you are free to purchase that additional Katusha. And, you know, your opponent's plan hasn't changed. They are still just sitting around with a ton of units in this area and buildings. So, you know, if you force your opponent to spend 250 munitions and you still get 1 Katusha barrage, I would say that Katusha is probably still cost effective. And we know, of course, that Panzerfaust, and probably Hans Chicken can guess, that Panzerfaust will not have accumulated 250 more munitions in the meantime. So, unlikely to have this Katusha picked off by Stukas. So as long as you cover it with the Zis gun and the T-34 so that the Panzer IV can't just dive and take it out for free, well, then this Katusha still looks great, if you ask me. So that's fine. And the Soviet fuel income has been just fine. We can keep building Katushas like this. They're only, what, 100 fuel or something? They're not expensive. 85 fuel? Soviet stuff's so good. I mean, I knew they were cheap, but damn. Okay, so the T-34 wants to get some rear armor shots onto this Panzer IV. Where's the Kettenwerfer? Oh, it's right here. That's a bit risky. Yeah, double Kettenwerfer covering this. Panzer IV is going to scurry away. Oh, sorry, the T-34 is going to scurry away, and the Panzer IV too. This gun gets another hit here. Katusha barrage comes down. Just wants to punish some of these weapon teams, perhaps. Just watching the spread on these rockets. That was pretty terrible, to be honest. Like, barely 1 rocket fell on a useful place. Nearly no veterancy gained on that barrage, but that's the nature of Katushas. They are not accurate at all. Katusha barrages, I reckon, are probably one of the most like RNG and swingy events in the game, because like Katusha rockets for some reason are absurdly powerful. Like the individual rocket, if it falls within a squad, is devastating, even more so than like other rocket artillery. Katusha rounds just appear to devastate everything around the actual inside the blast of where they hit. But the rockets are so... The blast is actually quite small, and the rockets spread so much, and they're only fired in 4s, which, like, although it's a lot of rockets, they fire over such a long time, your opponent normally dodges, like, the latter 12 or 8 rockets. that Katyushas are just very, very swingy. If those 4 rockets fall down in a nice cluster on very important targets, the other 12 or 12 rockets in the barrage really don't matter. But equally, sometimes you can see 16 rockets fall on a place where they ought to do massive damage, but just not scatter correctly in a way where you're able to get the damage. So they are very RNG feeling units. Anyway, we've got double Panzer IV versus double T-34 here. The most important part of this game, just keep an eye on the scoreline and the victory points, because that's really all that matters. The Axis player doing a good job of defending this position. Some conscript squads getting wiped during all of that. And this is the kind of thing that's been creeping in over this game. Hans Chicken just hemorrhaging conscripts and other infantry squads, which we really can't afford to be doing. Katyusha is now reloaded, and that thing's going to come forward to take another barrage here. So you probably just want to put it down here again. This is fine. Just keep clicking. I'll just click around about here. That's fine. Yeah, so we've got double T-34 and the Zis gun is still alive, so that ought to protect the Katyusha when it decides to roll in and take its barrage. I mean, if the Axis player really wants the Katyusha, there's nothing you can do about it. 2 Panzer IVs, you can't kill them fast enough before they get up on top of the on top of the Katyusha, but you can make them lose Panzer IVs for it, and that's not an effective trade for the Axis player. So, as long as the covering units are there. Actually, we're only on 1 Soviet engineer squad as well. That's a bit haphazard when we've got 2 T-34s that need repairing. That is not very rapid of repairs at all. Yeah, so they do get improved repair at Bet too, that is correct. Alright, yeah, here come the Katyusha rockets falling in. The Panzer IVs looks like they want to be doing something about this. He did get the forward fallback, by the way, for those of you who are wondering. Chips off the Kettenwerfer there, I believe. That's the wrong way. That is the rear armour of your Panzer IV there, sir. Whoa, it's a ballsy T-34, really? Wow, I don't think you want any part of this. Where's the other one? Okay, it's repaired. Gonna be rebuying conscripts here. That's okay. Could use the Stuka rocket run. Sorry, not Stuka, the IL-2 rocket run here as well, because we've got loads of munitions in the bank here. Immediately should be calling in some SVDs before these conscripts are out, to be honest, so that the SVDs are ready to be picked up when the conscripts are moving out onto the map. That's something that we can do. So yeah, IL-2 rocket strafe, definitely an option. Look for that to try and pick off weakened panzers. Wow, speaking of weakened panzers, this T-34 should be dead, yep. Rakettenwerfers are pretty good. And down to 49 tickets. As long as he can hold on to this middle VP, Hans Chicken is okay. It does have a Dansack in position. Oh no, actually, I'm going to be moving it at an inopportune moment. Whoa, the MG-34 is going to be tasked with trying to capture this. That doesn't seem right. That seems really risky. I mean, he's just going to lose a 3-star MG-34 here. Wow, that's pretty harsh. You really wanted that. So the Panzer IVs feel compelled to act here. Here comes the rocket run. That's like a weird time to use the rocket run. I'm not really sure what I'm seeing here. The Katyusha is going to start backing away, but that needs to run with the Katyusha. He's only got the 1 Zis gun and this T-34. The Zis gun is as good as dead now. So if you can beat the T-34... Uh-oh. You might just be in a place where these 2 Panzer IVs just... Yeah. Okay, so we've got nothing to deal with these Panzer IVs now. That's a problem, to say the least. Somehow Soviets established the triple cap. Oh god, well it might not matter. I mean, hang on though, because Axis forces get onto east and mid. And west. Don't lose your conscripts! Oh no. I mean, if you lose the conscripts... oh god, I mean, this is a problem again. You can't lose all your core infantry. Doesn't matter if your opponent's only on 12 tickets, if you can never get out on the map. Okay. Well, this next phase of the game is going to be very boring, I feel. So I think I'm going to just fast forward, because the Soviet player actually just can't do anything now. For quite a while, until they, like, rebuild some Zis guns or something. So yeah, the Panzer IV is doing what they need to do, which is destroy this Zis gun, but I'm going to fast forward, because nothing is going to happen for a while here. So yeah, a heroic Dansack attempts to, and even does, get onto this VP. Wow, that's kind of mad. But don't be losing the Dansack. What is this arc? Fall this back! You can't be winning here. There we go. Okay, yeah. Okay, but this victory point will fall into Soviet hands, so that's kind of crazy when you think about it. Alright, we're going to fast forward again, because nothing can happen for a while. He gets an Su-85. Okay, alright. So, okay, the game is alive again. There we go. So here comes the Su-85. That is pretty important. He can use focus sight on that one. He should use focus sight. You can just pop the hatch there. There we go. Nice. Look for those panzers. Do remember to set it to target vehicles, my friend. That's really important. Otherwise, you're going to be wasting shots into crappy infantry. Okay. So we're just going to fast forward. Are we not prioritising vehicles? It is insane to me that he's forgotten to press that button. So he has another Zis gun, has the Su-85. So you can definitely stabilise around that position. Pardon me, I promise I don't have the Rona, and even if I did, I cannot transmit it to you over YouTube. So there is I have been sneezing. I've been noticed that I've been sneezing a little bit recently, but it's summer is beginning to kick in, and the pollen counts in Bristol, which is where I live, are really high at the moment. So I think it's really more that than it is Rona. I was outside this morning doing a little bit of weeding of my outdoor area. Nice, takes out the Kettenwerfer there. That was a lovely finishing shot there to smash the hardware. Now the Panzer IVs decide that they can get up on top of the Su-85, and it's reversed now, right now. Oh god. Okay, he's going to be okay, but here comes the sector strike, so watch for the Stukas, here they come. Finding some good damage onto the Su-85 there. A lot of good damage. Oh god, he lost his engineers. Okay, well I'm going to fast forward again because nothing interesting can happen for a bit here.
Combat engineers are standing by.
Seems like we have sort of jumped into a slightly lower skill, less meta game here. And that's okay, that does happen. Triple Panzer IV. Okay then. T-34 going to be the choice. Soviet units making some progress out in the east of the map. Okay, now we're going to have another attempt to grab mid. Alright, Panzer IV's here going to come in for a bit of a flank here, looking for the Su-85. Engineers have been built, so that thing is a little bit repaired, but not enough. Yeah, this has got to be it, right? 3 Panzer IVs. Yeah. Oh my goodness, well there we go, Panzerfaust here, using some really pretty out there left field sort of tactics here. Once that Zis gun goes down, oh no, there is a T-34 as well, but I mean, that shouldn't be too much of a problem either. This is just too much Panzer IV. Do you remember when the Panzer IV Alpha J used to be, like, there was a commander who would just call in 2 of them, and that was the ability, so we just always saw them in numbers. That was interesting times. Anyway, yeah, so one of the Panzer IVs does go down. I mean, okay, Hans, you can leave the game now. I'm just going to run it forwards here. Dude, he literally has Panzer IVs parked in your base for which you have nothing. Oh my god. This T-34 is going to do stuff. Guards getting called in and stuff. But none of this changes our Soviet player's fate. As his tech is actually being taken out. Wow, there we go. Finally deciding to randomly leave the game here at the 38.5-minute mark. What a weird game. I guess that does happen when you jump into games with players you don't know who are lower down on the ladder. And I'm not complaining about it. That was entertaining to watch. It was just kind of a bit baffling here and there as well. So, cool. Well, there we go. Yikes. Wow. Gadzooks. Let's not try and read too much into or learn too much from that game. A lot of weird stuff going down from both teams. Basically. Let's just quickly have a look and see if we can see any games from any P versus... I mean, yeah, there's not really a lot going on the ladder today, is there? Alrighty, well, I guess that will conclude today's cast. I'm sorry that we couldn't find any sort of, super high-level games, but it do be like that sometimes when you cast live games off of the ladder. There's not always elite players out there duking away for our entertainment, and that's why it's so cool, and I feel so lucky when we do get to watch those players fight. That that brings us to the end of today's broadcast. But of course, stay tuned for more. I've got nothing else to be doing. Well, that's not entirely true, but I don't have as much else to be doing as usual, of course, because of what's going on in the world. So yeah, there'll be more stuff coming soon. Thanks very much. This for now, Magpie842 signing out.